Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. These are the days you wake up for and like, holy cow. Welcome to Hot Mic, everybody, on this 25th day of June 2026. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. How about a punch to the face right to start our show? Tim Connolly is at it again. We've been talking about it all week. The NBA draft wrapped officially last night. The Wolves made a couple of picks, which I was going to get to eventually. And then this morning, they decided to, bam, we're going to make a trade right off the hop. Already the Julius Randle trade happened Monday, and that is long forgotten because now Naz Reid is out of town. Here's the tweet from Shams Charania from ESPN that the Timberwolves are trading for LaMelo Ball from the Charlotte Hornets, and Josh Green are coming to Minnesota. Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick. 3 first-round pick swaps in 28, 29, and 30, and 3 second-round picks in 29, 32, and 33 are going the other way to Charlotte. Meanwhile, the Wolves get LaMelo Ball, who was the number 3 overall pick in the 2020 draft. He's coming off his best year as a pro for the Hornets. Last year, he played in 72 games, the most he's ever played in, averaged 20 points a game in 28 minutes, 5 rebounds. He had about a 2.5 assist-to-turnover ratio, averaged 7 assists a game last season. He is now your point guard, Minnesota Timberwolves fans. LaMelo Ball is going to be that guy, and they're going to pair him with Anthony Edwards, and they're going to roll with that next year. We have to assume, and I know what that word means, that Rudy Gobert is not being dealt. Who knows? In the scale of Connolly moves, how about this? Way to go, guys. Thanks for making this. There's the logistics of it. It is a lot going the Hornets' way. I couldn't tell you much about Josh Green right now. LaMelo is the big piece of this. And it came late during the draft telecast, if you were hardcore and watching it last night, that Shams broke it that the Hornets were fielding offers for LaMelo Ball, and the Timberwolves were in on it, and lo and behold, here it is. It broke at about 8:30 this morning, right before we came on the air, that this is now a done deal. So if you're envisioning now what the Wolves could look like next fall when they hit the floor, LaMelo at the 1, Anthony Edwards at the 2, Jaden McDaniels at the 4, I'm assuming, and Gobert at the 5. Beranger's going to play. Dosunmu's going to play. Terrence Shannon Jr.'s got to play. Holy cow. Again, we've gotten used to this with Tim Connolly. I'd say on the scale of most shock trades, is probably number 3, because number 1 is still Cat of when it happened. Because Cat was traded in September of 2024, right before the season got going. That's still the shocking one of shockers. Then you had obviously the Rudy trade that happened a couple summers ago, and now here's this one that happens to start the show here today. So, yeah, let's catch our collective breaths here. And the picks are a lot, but it's so far down the road, I don't know if I'm going to get up in arms about that, about what went down. But tip of the cap, man. Connolly always puts the chips in. Now they're going to roll with LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. That was the number 1 pick and the number 3 pick in the 2020 draft. I believe sandwiched with James Wiseman as number 2. That was the COVID draft that we remember the stories. We weren't sure if Anthony Edwards even liked basketball. Now these guys are teammates. Because remember, the Wolves were tantalizing with maybe taking LaMelo Ball with the number 1 pick in the COVID draft of 2020. As it is, they have now both the guys on the team. Naz Reid leaving is stunning. That there's no other way to sugarcoat that. He might be the most popular player not named Anthony Edwards. He might be even more popular than Anthony Edwards with a certain section of the fan base. He was the 6th man of the year a couple years ago. His consistency wasn't great this year, but I said it on Tuesday's show, all of 2 days ago when they moved Randall, that, okay, they're fully believing in Naz Reid. Apparently not, as this materialized, and now he's gone. So we'll let this marinate for a little bit. We'll hit back on it later on in the show because there's plenty to get to this morning. But that's the breaking news right off the hop, is that Naz Reid is on his way to Charlotte, and LaMelo Ball is kind of to play for the Minnesota Timberwolves next season. With that, we say good morning and welcome to Hot Mic, everybody, on this Thursday morning. We got a lot to get to. Action-packed show here this morning. I was prepared to start with the big news that happened yesterday, but when you've got newer news, that's NEW, you got to do it. North Dakota State is now postseason eligible. Came down late yesterday afternoon from the Division I cabinet that they officially repealed the 2-year ban, which means now that the Bison, if they win 6 football games this year, will play in a bowl game. That is the big news that came out of the cabinet yesterday. What this also means, and we're going to get into this more, Matt Larsen is going to be here in studio with us in about 6 minutes' time to dive into all of this, is that North Dakota State will also be eligible for the Mountain West Championship game if they finish in one of the top 2 spots in the league standings. They also will be eligible for the college football playoff this fall. All of that is now on the table. That 2-year ban that we talked about in February is now vanished. And it's not just for North Dakota State, Sacramento State, same boat. And for our friends in Delaware and Missouri State, they can thank NDSU as well, because now they don't have to worry about this. In the second year of their transition, they are now fully eligible for a bowl game appearance. It is, I don't know if stunning is the right word, because I think we had heard the tea leaves were trending in this direction, but this is just the last maybe check mark on this whole move that has been in gestation mode for over a year to now get this across the finish line. And I was visiting with Tim Polasek for a bit last night about this. You could just hear the excitement in his voice, and knowing that this also means that it doesn't have to necessarily worry about players leaving because of another year of postseason ban. Not just for the 26 season, but the 27 season, that North Dakota State can play in a postseason game, in a bowl game, maybe Mountain West Championship, who knows? All of that we'll decide. We'll talk about it another time. But for right now, that's the big news today. And Matt's going to join us here. I see him. He's here in studio. We're going to get him on ASAP because we got a lot to get to with that. So much more on that in a second. Last thing before we get going, we got to show you the full Shohei Ohtani experience last night at Target Field. Best crowd of the year, as we expected, as the Twins were hosting the Dodgers last night. We got the full Ohtani experience because he and his catcher, Dalton Rushing, couldn't get on the same page. You see here, Ohtani wanted to challenge. His reaction is fantastic there. They don't. Cody Clemens would walk. Then we got a pass ball here through Rushing. That's going to allow a run to score. You can see frustration boiling over for both to tie the game up at 1. Now in the second inning, here's another close one. Now Ohtani says, you know what? Screw it. I want a challenge. And you can see he was right. It was a strike because you can see he's basically bashing his head there to make sure. And Rushing was like, no, it's too low. Later in the inning, with Kreidler up, he singles through the middle, delivers a base hit. Twins actually grab the lead on Ohtani and the Dodgers at 3-1 at that point. You can see Rushing and Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, going over things. After that, though, L.A. came to play. Mookie Betts hammers this one off Joe Ryan. That got the Dodgers out to an early lead. We had to show the mix-up there on the mound just because it was so... Ohtani very rarely shows emotion when he's pitching. After that, the Twins made it 3-1. Ohtani then delivers at the plate, which, of course, he can. Makes it 3-2. Max Muncy delivers with an RBI single. That would score Ohtani. That ties the game up at 3. Gets Joe Ryan, who didn't have a bad outing at all. Struck out 9, but got overshadowed because who he was facing. Later, here's Alex Call up with the bases loaded in the third. Hits this one to right. That's going to score Freddie Freeman, put the Dodgers in front at 4-3. And if you give that guy the lead, and granted there was much made over Royce Lewis cutting that ball off. More on that later. Then Ohtani went to work. Strikeout of Buxton. Strikeout of Clemens. Josh Bell had no chance. I mean, I hope you all appreciated this last night. If you were either there or watching on television, sitting home watching this, like, this is phenomenal to see what he does. Victor Caratini had no chance. 8 strikeouts for Ohtani last night in 6 innings of work, allowed 5 hits and 3 runs. Royce Lewis up in the bottom of the 6th. This is a great diving play by Betts to end the inning and keep LA in front at 4-3. Again, Mookie Betts has played everywhere. Outfield. Now he's become basically a Gold Glove shortstop with a terrific pick at first. The Dodgers up 4-3, same score. The Twins have the tying run on at first with Buxton up at the plate. Everybody's standing. But he strikes out against Tanner Scott, who's taken over for Edwin Diaz as the Dodger closer. Dodgers win it 4-3. They sweep the series against the Twins. You see Ohtani's complete line, both on the mound and what he did at the plate last night. Ryan takes a hard luck loss as he drops to 5-4. Crowd of 39,853. I told you it was going to be great, and it was. I don't know if we'll see a crowd like that the rest of the year at Target Field after the Dodgers come through. We have a packed show coming up for you here, everybody, on this Thursday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Matt Larsen is waiting in the wings. North Dakota State Athletic Director will visit with him about the big news yesterday that the Bison now are bowl eligible. Also talk about next week, 701 Day on July 1. And what's ahead with July 1 is the actual first date of NDSU being an FBS member. That's coming up here in just a few minutes. Old friend Zach Staton will be here in studio. Former WDAY sports anchor. Zach filled in for me numerous times on this program. Zach is now a broadcaster with Banana Ball. They're, of course, here this weekend. The Firefighters are facing the Clowns on Friday and Saturday at Newman Outdoor Field. Find out how in the world he got hooked up with that group. We'll do that at 10 o'clock. And our guy, Sam Goetzinger, will join us at 10:35 to get us ready for the River Ram, which begins tomorrow. We'll be live at Moorhead Country Club for our show. Sam will be part of our broadcast team again for the second straight year. That's coming up at 10:35. So a lot to get to here on a busy Thursday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. The Bison could go bowling now in the fall. That's a done deal. Now they got to take care of winning on the field. Matt Larsen will join us when Hot Mike returns right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling here on a busy Thursday morning show. I thought the biggest news of the day was going to be the Bison finding out their bowl eligibility, Matt Larsen. Then Naz Reid had to get traded. You know, he's a huge fan favorite, so I didn't want to bump you right off the top. Yeah. But thanks for coming by. North Dakota State Athletic Director here in studio to give us the lowdown on the Bison are now bowl eligible. When we talked in the press conference right after the Mountain West announcement, I asked you about the postseason ban and what that all entailed. This has been a wild ride from the last 4.5 months to get to where we are today.
It really is. I mean, at the time when we made the announcement, it was still, a bylaw that, teams transitioning had to sit out 2 years. So our plan all along was we were going to try to submit a waiver, as other schools have done in the past unsuccessfully. And I think that actually caught a lot of national attention. A lot of national media outlets picked it up. Obviously, you guys did a good job of getting it out there. And I really think it just kind of got people thinking, and I give the FBS Oversight Committee a ton of credit because it kind of happened organically in one of their meetings where they started talking about it again.
I was going to ask you that. How did this all begin with did you go to the Oversight Committee saying, hey, we'd like this? Or how did it organically begin?
I honestly think, and again, this is where I give credit to our brand a little bit, is I think, again, this was a national story. Again, us going FBS, joining the Mountain West, but then this idea of, we think that the bylaw and the rule was old. And so it kind of organically started there and kind of grew and just had conversations of, does this rule make sense anymore? It goes back to what we talked about off air. I mean, I think across the NCAA, there's a motivation to look at all of our rules, which ones still make sense and hold true, and which ones, just don't meet the evolving landscape of college athletics anymore. And so that's where I give a lot of just leadership committees a ton of credit to say, hey, we got to look at this stuff, and we have to make this stuff more present day. And
so the unique part of this, you're on the Division I cabinet, and I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks because you were on the FCS playoff committee, but we all know, and you've told us, you had to leave the room anytime North Dakota State was brought up. Did you have to abstain from this conversation?
It's really interesting being on the cabinet because there's I represent the Summit League. So I represent a 1AAA non-football league. That's who I'm. But then you have people who represent FCS conferences, FBS conferences, and depending on whatever we're voting on, some of it is FBS only, some of it's FCS only, some of it's football only, some of it's the entire cabinet. And so because this was a bylaw change, the entire cabinet was able to vote on this. And so was able to vote and anyway, I mean, and also be able to just to share my thoughts and opinion as I can with anything that we're voting on.
So there also were opinions, I'm sure, shared about NDSU. Were there ones that said, hey, we don't want this to happen?
One of the things I love, without getting into a ton of details, what I love about this group that we have is there's really good debate regardless of what the topic is. And I think at the end of the day, it's about let's try to get it right. As right as we can, and let's talk through all the things. And I think with every topic we have, there's always there's pros and cons. There's people on different sides. But what I love about our group is let's debate, let's talk it out, and then let's try to move forward. And that's what happened yesterday.
So I'm fascinated by this. Is it like a how do you vote? Is it something like you're on? Tabulated, you raise hands because it's all over Zoom.
Yeah,
is what you were doing.
Zoom. I mean, we actually have a voting mechanism that we utilize and for a lot of our stuff, and which is good too, especially because there is, as you've talked, there is weighted voting in there, and so that the system is able to tabulate that, which is again really unique. But yeah, we have a system that we do it, especially more your formal votes. We have some informal stuff we'll do, kind of show of hands, but for the most part, we use that system.
So it comes back and it's approved. What's the reaction?
Relief? Just relief, I think, more than anything else. Because there's, as I've said all along, there's a lot riding on this in a lot of different ways. And, there's been a lot of time and energy that's put into this vote, but also I think just in general, the time and energy we put into this move. And I truly believe, whether it was NDSU or somebody else, the amount of investment, the amount of pressure, the amount that things have changed with transfer portal and trying to maintain a roster, I was really concerned if this didn't go through, what does that mean for our football program for the next 2 years in terms of being able to build a successful FBS program? And so yeah, definitely a lot of relief. And then I think that kind of followed up with really excited for the fans, really excited for our players, coaches, the opportunity. And that was my thing all along, is we're not guaranteed anything. We have the opportunity.
Got to go do it now.
We have an opportunity to earn, a postseason a bid or opportunity or bowl, whatever it is. And so to me, that's what it was all about, is just give us the chance and the opportunity.
Matt, the amount of money obviously has been written to discuss plenty about on this program and other outlets as well. Did that, in your mind, sway it as well? Like there's a massive financial investment that's been made by you and Sacramento State. It's not $5,000, it's $5 million just to get into the party. How big a deal was that in your opinion?
I think it's definitely a piece when you look at, I think when this bylaw was put in place probably 20 some odd years ago, it was really trying to make sure that as schools transitioned, they were doing it the right way. They had the right things in place. They had the finances in place, the compliance, all of the regulatory stuff that was in place. I think things have changed a lot now. Certainly in the investment signals that this school's serious. They have a lot of the things in place. Now, again, we still have to be eligible, we have to make sure we're meeting all of the FBS reclassification requirements, which we'll do. And so, but I do think that level of investment, coupled with some of the other things we've talked about, I think we're definitely part of it.
So I've not heard yet. I'm not sure you have from the Mountain West in terms of their bowl tie-ins. Has that been laid out yet, or do you guys know? Because I don't know if it's been official of what the games they're tied into now.
It has. It's not officially announced yet. But yeah, we've finalized all of those, and so there'll be opportunities for any qualifying Mountain West team to.
Is Frisco on that pallet?
You know what? That's not my news to break.
Okay.
I'm not going to Todd Phelps it here. I'll leave that to the Mountain West.
But if that is a possibility again, just describe that of an opportunity for your fan base to maybe go back to a really familiar spot.
Well, and that's, obviously, I've said this over the years, Frisco has been an unbelievable host town for the FCS championship, and I know it's near and dear to a lot of our fans' hearts, and there's a lot of history there and tradition and those things. So, hey, if we earn one at this point, I almost don't care where we go. It'll be a really cool experience for everybody.
So
involved.
when we talked in March, I think when the story came out, and I asked you another question related to postseason about the Mountain West Championship and the college football playoff, because the bowl eligibility part is a major piece, but also that you're eligible for both of those now, which is attached to a significant sum of money if you are able to reach that.
Yeah. No, that was big for us because, again, at the end of the day, you always want something to play for. Bowl games are out there, absolutely. But, for us, it's always been goal number one every year. It's never been a national. It's been let's try to win the conference championship. And, now that that's actually a reality, now we got a lot of stuff in front of us, starting with game one. But I think having that opportunity is huge because it does unlock some other opportunities, whether it be financial, whether it be visibility, et cetera. So that was really positive as well.
Even for a bowl game, there's a significant amount of money tied in for the Mountain West Conference that if you qualify, because the lack of television revenue, you're going to have to find it other ways. That's certainly one of them.
That's a big piece. I mean, that'll be a big piece in terms of being able to share in their reimbursement program and process, which is really important. The Mountain West Plus platform that's starting to gain that we're going to launch here in a couple of days is a really big piece for us to be able to drive some revenue back to NDSU.
So all of this, does this feel like the last check mark? Like this done? Like, okay, now we can actually talk about stuff on the field?
Well, we actually
or come next week?
Well, we got another check mark earlier I got a call from the NCAA that our application has been approved.
Okay.
So I
was going to ask that.
That was a piece that we were holding out too. Yep. So, I mean, that's in place now, the vote yesterday. And so, as of July 1st, we're officially an FBS program. And now we have a 2-year transition that we still have to work through and make sure we're doing all the right things from an NCAA perspective. But that was big too. Again, we thought we, put together a good application, a strategic plan, obviously the fee and those things. But, until you get confirmation, there's always doubt. But so that was a big one too.
You've done athletics for your entire life. To have this in this kind of span, what's the way to describe it? What's gone on over the last 4.5 months?
Like I've said, I think a lot of it comes back to, NDSU and who we are and the way we do things. I just think there's a level of respect across the country about just how we go about our business. And again, not that this vote was about NDSU by any stretch, but I do think our history and tradition and the way we handle things, I think is well respected. And so now again, that doesn't guarantee anything, but I think the way everything came together, it's just been, you couldn't have written it any better.
This story was picked up nationally. Were you surprised at all by that it went through yesterday, that this wasn't just a Fargo story, this was a national story? Yeah, I mean, that's what's been interesting. And again, I give credit to our program and the brand. I mean, this is a big story. It was when we announced back in February, and it continues to be a big story, both locally, regionally, and nationally. And so, again, I just think it speaks to our brand and who we are as a program. So now, what else is there outside of the 6 wins? Is there anything else that you have to be bowl eligible, or just that's, hey, we need 6 wins and then whatever bowl after that we can go to?
That's obviously the big thing there is getting to that threshold there, and again making sure that we meet all of the other FBS requirements, and again which we certainly intend on doing. So, it's pretty as cut and dry as that.
So, out of that, I mean, is it a fist pump after the Zoom yesterday? What's the reaction from you after this is over and done with?
Well, it definitely was. Like I said, I mean, relief was a big part of it. And then obviously wanted to get out to the folks that played a role in it, but also the ones that it's going to impact directly. So Coach Polasek was pretty excited, as you can imagine.
And I talked to him yesterday, and he told me he shared messages with the Leadership Council, and all responded just overwhelming, either texts or emojis on the excitement level of that. And that's a huge piece of this, and I mentioned it yesterday, and I've talked to both you and Tim about that. It's not just 2026. The fall of 2027, if you're ineligible again, that's a long road to hoe to try and keep your football team together before we get to the fall of 2028.
It really is, and unfortunately, that's the reality of college athletics today, right? And especially, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily blame kids, right?
Not at all.
Case, you want to have the opportunity to compete for a championship or some sort of postseason eligibility if you earn it. And so that's why I thought this was a big deal, and not surprised by the reaction from the Leadership Council and our guys. I mean, they're competitors. They want to, hey, let's put it out there and see where we end up.
All right. I know you got a few more minutes. We're going to break now. We come back. The other big story of the week is the eligibility model, which is another one we're talking about. So we're going to do that when we come back on the new 5-for-5 plan that's going to affect this fall. So more with Matt Larsen when we come back on Hot Mic right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Matt Larsen here with us for another about 10 minutes. North Dakota State Athletic Director. Off the news yesterday, the Bison football team can be bowl eligible now beginning this fall. The other major story this week, no, you're grinding here at the end of June, man. There ain't no time off, was the 5-for-5 eligibility model that got passed on Tuesday and officially signed off yesterday. Here's another topic we've been talking about since COVID hit, about waivers and 6th and 7th year players and going to a judge to get a favorable ruling so I get another year. This has been long gestating. Give me your reaction on this now becoming the letter of the law here now.
I think really positive in a lot of ways. I mean, the first meeting I was on, the Division I cabinet, we talked about trying to solve this ourselves. I mean, if we want to wait for Congress, and we're making some progress on some things there too. But the biggest threat right now has been being able to enforce our eligibility rules. Even we passed this and there was a lawsuit. Then
correct, which you had to know that was coming.
Right, I knew that was coming, but this gives us a much greater opportunity to be able to enforce those rules, and so I think it's a really good thing. I would say the one thing that people I think in general get confused of it's not a straight 5-for-5. I think the two elements that really change that are, one, it's tied to age. So this is really age-based eligibility. And the idea here was really tying it to your traditional college-age student, right? So that, I think everybody across college athletics doesn't think a 26-year-old playing in college athletics makes sense. I think we've seen, as you mentioned, a 7th and an 8th year. A student in college for 7 or 8 years doesn't make sense. And so having the tie to age is one piece. And the other piece, as you mentioned too, is eliminating all waivers. So waivers, red shirts, medical hardships, all go away. And really what that does is the more waivers or exceptions you have, well, the less defensible it becomes. And so this makes it really cut and dry, very clean. And so I'm excited about it. I think the membership's excited about it too, because, okay, now we have some marching orders and let's move forward.
So let me start first with the current student athletes that are already on campus. How does that process now work to say, I redshirted in 2022, all right, I'm going to be a senior this year. Do I get another year beyond this coming year?
So basically what we'll do is, and our compliance staff will start working on this now, and so we can communicate it out to coaches and student athletes, but basically students who are currently in the system. So forget about incoming freshmen.
Right.
It's just your rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We're going to apply the old set of rules and the new set of rules, and whichever is most advantageous to that student athlete, we're going to go ahead and
So whichever gets the more eligibility to them.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so we may have some student athletes who greatly benefit from this, who maybe thought this upcoming year was going to be their last, that may have another year.
Like an Avery Coonan I look at.
Yeah.
Avery played as a freshman, has played 3 years.
Correct.
Theoretically, this would be her last, but now with this, she would get another year, correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And so we're going to go through, and Colleen and Brigitte from our staff are going to go through all of our rosters and all of our kids and kind of start that process now so we can communicate that out to everybody.
There's no, for the athletes that just graduated, I know there was a bunch that rushed into the portal, specifically in basketball, that there's no grandfathering, correct? That is not happening.
There isn't, and we reaffirmed yesterday, the cabinet actually released a statement, and we've said all along as we've been going down this path that student athletes that exhausted their eligibility this spring under the current rules are not going to have an opportunity to move forward. And I think that was really important too, to get that message out sooner rather than later, because there's a lot of impacts that has, whether it's roster caps or high school kids that are coming into the ecosystem. So felt it was important to get that out.
So Matt, two last questions of this. For a freshman that's starting in the fall of 26, are they under the what are the other two models there? Whatever gives them the most eligibility, or are they on the 5 for 5 now?
They're on the new model.
Okay,
correct. It's
so
only
they would have 5
it's
years
only
to
the
play.
Kids currently in the ecosystem that'll have both options.
And then 27, that's hey, you're on the new model. That's what it's going to be going forward now.
Every incoming high school student from this point forward will be into the new model.
It's kind of wild to say, but because I remember when the 4-game thing for football, and they were the only sport that had it for at least, 7-8 years. I think it's been around. Because I know with Dave Richmond all the time, like, well, it'd be nice if basketball had something like that, where if guys played even 2 games, bam, your whole season of eligibility is done. This is different. It's going to be crazy.
It does. Well, it removes. I mean, I think every year, every program at some level was always having conversation of, do we redshirt this kid? Do we not? Then you have some injuries, and now you got to play him, and maybe a kid plays in 2 or 3 games, and now they've lost a whole.
Correct.
This removes all of that stuff, and it's just a level playing field for everybody. And I think a lot of coaches have come out. I think they're in favor of it, and again, I think it's going to be a benefit to student athletes as well.
For the Save College Sports Act, which I know the Dakota schools are all on board with right now, and I don't want to get too much into this because I only have a short amount of time. But where is it at right now? Is there a chance that this becomes the law of the land soon?
Well, I mean, I think it's still a long way to go.
Okay.
That was the biggest takeaway from our meetings the last couple of days, is that there's still a long process. There's been some revisions, and I think there's been some positive revisions, but it still hasn't gone to the floor for a vote. I mean, then it has to go to the House.
Yep.
The House will probably adjust it. Then it has to go. So we're a long ways away, but the fact that I think from a bipartisan standpoint, I think there's support from both sides of the aisle. I think that's really positive at this point, and the fact that it continues to move forward at a pretty good pace is really good.
The cabinet also, or the oversight committee for football, the FBS oversight committee set through yesterday about a standardized start date, much like you did when the FCS of week 0 starting this year. FBS is going to take that over next year. So let's just, the last weekend of August, we can just assume now is going to be the start date of the college football season?
That's correct. That's correct. And what it does is, I mean, it opens up a lot of opportunities. I know for us trying to now build all these schedules.
So now
out.
You can get another game in, correct, before you go to Vegas in theory? Okay.
We can.
All right.
We could add a game there. It gives you the opportunity if you choose to play in week 0, the new
now
week 1, however you want to call it, you potentially can get 2 buys, which I think is really important. Again, just given the rigor of the season and the schedule and everything. So I think it's positive. It just gives us way more flexibility, and it's another broadcast window. Quite honestly. So I think the media outlets are pretty happy about that too.
You mentioned in our first segment about now you got the final approval from the NCAA. I was curious what went into getting all. We know the monetary part of it. What else went in to say, okay, you are fully fledged, you're an FBS member come next Wednesday?
It's a pretty extensive application, and a lot of it is it's trying to make sure that you have all of the administrative support systems in place to make sure, one, you're going to be compliant with rules and all of those things. So, I mean, it's pretty extensive. We had put together a strategic plan that talks about whether it's levels of investment, revenue generation, scholarships, support mechanisms, additional staff, all of those things to make sure. The idea is, okay, hey, we want to make sure that you're not just going to go FBS, but you have all the support things in place to be FBS and to be a sustainable, successful FBS
How many more staff do you have to hire? Do you know?
You know, we'll probably end up, I think, across the board, it'll probably be close, maybe just not quite 10, but close to that, between football, support areas, those kinds of things. And with a staff that's right now, we're about 115. I mean, it's not quite
That's
10%,
small,
but it's a pretty good number.
You also have to hire a deputy AD. Is that the plan? Describe that, because your main man's was here for the last 11 years.
Yeah, it's in the works. I actually talked to him yesterday. He just got to Middlebury, Vermont yesterday. Yeah, he had a 3 day trip there. Going through the process now of what that'll look like. That's an important position for us in a lot of different ways. It may look a little different than what Todd did. And again, just he had a certain skill set. You know, the next person may have something different, but having that position will be really important.
Does that skill set include football scheduling, or does that fall back on you now?
Well, right now it's on me.
How's that going?
It's you know what? I give Todd a hard time. I actually talked to him yesterday. I was like, hey, I got a couple games on the board right now, so I don't know what took you so long, but. It's going okay now. Obviously, the focus is on 27 and trying to get some home and homes and see if that comes together.
Is Oregon going to stay? This is something you and I talked about 2016. I want to say so.
As of today,
Oregon's on the board.
Yeah, Oregon's on the board.
Last thing before we go, and I appreciate you doing this. Langer's going to be here. Derek Lang's going to be here next week. Talk about 701 Day. If I understand when I saw the tweets out, do you already have $10 million pledged already to go if that gets matched?
We do. So we have to unlock. Yeah, we have some basically
contributions.
Hopefully 701 donations at each 100. It unlocks a match.
Wow.
Which is really cool. And again, a lot of credit to our donors and supporters who've stepped up and have done a great job. And so just encourage folks today. Actually, early giving starts today. Okay. So Dom, I'll send you the link. But that starts today and runs through the first day. You know, obviously 701 has a lot of unique meaning here in the state of North Dakota, but it's also obviously the first day we're FBS.
Last thing, was there people that maybe said no to you that now this has happened, that door is reopened, said, hey, I'm definitely in now. You're FBS.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Come talk to me.
You know, we've had some folks who now have dropped their season tickets and now have their season tickets back again, or you know, I think there's been some folks. Actually, I'm still waiting. I think Mike McFeely said, if you guys go FBS, I'm increasing my donation. So I don't. I'll have to check.
You wait on bated breath.
I don't
on that
know.
one.
I don't know if I've seen the increase yet. So I may have to follow up with.
I don't know what he's going to ask you about anymore. Honestly,
I know.
This is. We've been asking you this for 6 years.
I'm sure he'll find something. But no, we've had people I think have come back. I mean, there's renewed energy and excitement, which I think is really positive.
Tailgate's already hopping as well. It's a different vibe. I think that you remember those early years when you first came here of what that was like. I think very well you could see that come August 29th.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man here. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you in a few weeks in Las Vegas because. You know, football season's here after the 4th of July. So
awesome.
Thanks, Matt. Matt Larsen joining us here in studio to chat about North Dakota State being bowl eligible beginning this fall. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour, reset some things here as well. Hot Mic rolls on here on WDAY Extra. We're back right after this. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Matt Larsen for joining us. A lot of information there. Hopefully all were able to take that in. Again, the financial piece of this has to be considered, considering that North Dakota State is not going to get any television revenue from Fox or CBS or the CW for 5 years. That's part of the sign-off of joining the league, that now you have access to a different pool of money. If you make a bowl game, the league will reimburse you on your bowl expenses. You also get a certain stipend as well from the Mountain West, depending on the level of bowl game you go to. And don't even tell me on the money if you somehow make the Mountain West championship game, somehow make the college football playoff. It's in the contract. It's exorbitant amount. It's nothing to shake a stick at here on what they potentially get. So just to read this off, this is from the story I wrote back in March. They would get a 100% reimbursement for playing in any conference bowl game or the college football playoff, a $1 million bonus for reaching the CFP, and 50% of CFP and bowl game revenue paid to Mountain West members. That last part is important. They're getting that regardless now that they are eligible for postseason play. Just getting more reaction from people in the know on the trade before we do our World Cup update. Just a little bit more. If you missed the start of the show, the Timberwolves have traded Naz Reid to the Charlotte Hornets for LaMelo Ball and Josh Green, who evidently was a first-round pick in 2020. He was the 18th overall pick that year. From John Krasinski saying the Wolves have been trying to get LaMelo Ball for 2 years. They paid a price with Naz, but there is elation throughout the building about pairing Melo and Anthony Edwards. Another quote from a source, he's going to make everybody better. That was the thing that was missing. Really? I mean, point guard definitely was missing. I don't know. LaMelo Ball was the part that was missing, but this is what the Wolves said. Doogie Wolfson, who was just on our show a couple weeks ago, who's more plugged in than anybody I know, mentioned this morning, will hammer home here on Twitter, quote, perfect fit. Thoughts from folks at Mayo Square on Ball. Talent undeniable. They feel like getting him in this environment will elevate his maturation and his ability to stay on the court. I would believe that, knowing that the Wolves have top-flight training staff at Mayo Square. That certainly could help because LaMelo's been plagued by injury throughout his career. Just looking real quick at his career stats, since coming into the league here. First year, played 51 games, 75, played only 36 games, then 22, then 47, then burst out and played 72 games this past year. But that's 3 straight years where injury kept him from being on the floor. And obviously that would submarine any chances here for the Wolves of being good. But that's the reaction, at least initially, on the blockbuster deal that sent Naz Reid to Charlotte, and LaMelo Ball and Josh Green are coming to Minnesota. Man. Last thing before we break and reset things to start our second hour. We are now into the craziness of the World Cup where the groups are wrapping up. We're wrapping up group play here over the next 3 days, where we'll have 6 matches a day to round out play. And then figure out who's going to be in the bracket for the knockout round, which begins on Sunday, if I have my dates correct. Yesterday, we were talking about with Drew Trafton, who's here in studio. There was one match that we needed to pay attention to. That was between Bosnia-Herzegovina and Qatar. If you were looking for your Bosnia-Qatar highlights, we have them on Hot Mic, only because for me to try and pronounce any of the Bosnian names would be folly. But the match, I had it on in the office waiting for the news to come down from the Division I cabinet, started crazy. The Bosnians scored early in this match of a cracker of a shot. That's what soccer broadcasters say. That made it 1-0. The Qataris made it 2-1. Bosnia then would get this goal late in the 80th minute. That made it 3-1 to put them out in front. They would end up winning the match by that count. So they have 4 points. Why that's relevant, they're moving on to the knockout round. And why that's relevant to our conversation is because the United States, by virtue of winning its group, they won Group D, will play the third-place team in likely Group B, which right now, that would be the Bosnians. As you see, they finished with Canada. Canada finished with 4 points as well. They're moving on because, remember, the top 2 teams in each group go. Switzerland finished with 7. They are moving on as well. In Group A, which wrapped up, Mexico won all 3 of its matches. So they are the top team there out of Group A. South Africa will move on as the second-place team. They are already locked in. South Africa is going to play Canada in the bracket starting on, I believe that's the first knockout match. Yep, that's on Sunday at 2 o'clock on Fox. That's the first knockout match we know. And we'll get the bracket together for you by the time we come back on Monday, we'll know what the field of 32 will look like. And then Group C wrapped up yesterday as well. Brazil on top with 7 points. That actually went down to goal differential. They have a better goal differential than Morocco. So they finish each with 2 wins and a tie. Then Scotland is going to sweat it out. Well, not sure if Scotland will advance. They've been the talk of the East Coast with their fans through the group stage. And then Haiti is already eliminated. And then that brings us to the United States. USA plays tonight in its match with Turkey. We already know the U.S. is through. The question now is who plays tonight. This match literally means nothing. It's about seeing if Christian Pulisic is healthy enough to go for 20, 25 minutes to get ready for the knockout stage match, and then probably resting all the guys who have picked up a yellow card, because if you pick up a second, then you have to miss the next match, which that means your tournament, because then it's win or go home after the final group stage match. That's 9 o'clock tonight. Yes, you heard me right, 9 o'clock for the last match. The ticket prices, and that's going on at the 49ers Stadium, where the Super Bowl was this year. Despite the fact it literally means nothing, the ticket prices have not decreased. So I saw this morning $1,600 just to get in the door for a match that is essentially is a friendly. Let me look here real quick before we break, because I thought that was what I saw this morning for ticket prices to get in the door for the final match. Yeah, $1,600. That's the cheapest way to get in at SoFi Stadium. Holy cow. So there you have it for your World Cup update. We try to do the best we can on that. Again, 6 more matches coming up today. The United States and Turkey is later tonight, along with Paraguay and Australia. The other matches today is Tunisia and the Netherlands, Japan and Sweden. That's at 6. And then this afternoon, Curacao and the Ivory Coast, Ecuador, and Germany. Germany is already through as well. I'm just fascinated now looking at the bracket parts of this, of where everybody's going to go and how that fills out. We'll figure that out over the next 3 days. All right, let's break. We come back. First of its kind is coming to Fargo this weekend at Newman Outdoor Field. Banana Ball is here with a very distinct connection to Fargo. That's coming up when we start hour 2 of Hot Mic on a Thursday morning. We're back right after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Dakota Bowl 2018 kicks off now.
You are looking live inside the Fargo Dome, where today it's the 26th edition of the Dakota Bowl. 8 teams here battling it out, all for the dream of winning a state championship. Hi, everybody. Zach Staton here. The teams here today are combined 84-2, and those 2 losses have rematches scheduled. Let's take you through those matchups right now, starting in just a couple of minutes.
How about that? We're going to the Wayback Machine. That was November of 2018. When our next guest, I believe, made his WDAY on-air debut. Zach Staton is here in studio with us, former WDAY sports anchor from 2018 to 2022. Back in town because he is the broadcaster in Banana Ball, which this weekend the firefighters are here to face the Clowns.
Yep.
What do you think when you see that piece of video I dug up this morning?
It's weird to see me wearing a suit again, number one. I haven't worn a suit, I think, since last April. No, it's so cool, the full circle of it. Like, I remember that game in particular, the night before you and I had a big talk in the office, and I remember I came in and, like, I must have entered into that stadium with Thunderstruck of my own, because I was amped and ready to go. So, yeah, that's bizarre. I was like 8 years ago.
Right?
I looked way thinner and weirder looking hair than I do now.
Well, don't get started in your hair, because Jeff was on that for a year straight,
Correct.
Right? Oh, my gosh. It's great to see you. There's 8 million questions I have on how in the world you got wrapped up in this.
Okay.
But being back in Fargo, you got back, you and your wife Logan got back a couple days ago. What has it been like to be back here for the last day and a half?
It's been so nostalgic. I told Jeff Nelson, our news director, on the way down here, like, I haven't even had to use the GPS at all. It's like I've gone straight in and just it feels like riding a bike. It's been cool going and seeing different things and getting the old memories back, how we started our marriage, what COVID was like, driving by the Fargo Dome and remembering the Missouri State game and all the state championship games. Like, all of that stuff just comes rushing back, and then knowing why we're here for something way different, something that back then was just beginning to grow, is really cool.
So for people that don't remember, I'll try and do this best I can. You correct me if I'm wrong. You got hired 2018.
Correct.
Were you right out of school, or did you have another job before?
No,
it
was right out of school.
That's what I thought.
I was right out of school.
And that was your first on-air deal, because I remember Stacy saying, "Hey, we're going to use the new kid on." I'm like, "Okay." That's what heck of a way to throw him in statewide TV to start. And then you were anchoring weekends, as I was doing during the week for a while. And obviously you did our state tournaments for a long time as well. Your then girlfriend, fiance, did not move with you. You were here by yourself for how long?
I was here until June of 2019. I was by myself. Almost a year.
So almost a year you were out here solo, which I know was really hard.
Just immerse myself in work.
Yeah. And you got married, I know, shortly after my son was born, because happy belated wedding anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
I know that comes right when Jackman was born.
Oh, yeah.
So Logan comes out here, and this becomes home.
Yep.
And you're from Virginia. You're a long, long ways from home.
Yeah. Trying to get used to blizzards as home is way different. But
I remember your first winter with your old car. That did not work out so well.
No, that car is now resting in peace somewhere. She moves out here, and very quickly it becomes home.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people don't know this, because I held this story in because I didn't know if I could get in hot water at the time. She was a hall director at NDSU. So we were living for free on campus in an apartment at Syme Hall, which is right across the street from Newman Outdoor Field, where we're going to play this weekend. So all that kind of stuff mixes in there too. But yeah, we had that. And then the start of 2020, you transition more to this. I get the weekday gig. I'll never forget that, because it was the day after Kobe died, and all the emotion was hitting there. And then I was like, "Oh my God, I got this new job too. I got to start thinking about." So yeah,
is that right? Was that your first day on the main desk? Was that right after that?
It was the day after, because I remember I pitched. I was going to go to Kindred. I was going to go to NDSU and Moorhead and get all this interaction. You're like, I need you to get in the office now. We have to talk about something. And so I got like a week-long interim basis, and then the next week I was full-time. And then 2 months later, COVID hit.
Well, I was
going to
say, not that long after, then the world ended.
Yes.
And because I definitely remember that stretch, and that got so bizarre that we were doing the sports. You were doing the sports cast out of our office, the sports office upstairs. Then to a point where you actually did the sports out of your home.
Yeah, someone got hit with it.
Big Budge. I think Budge did. I'm blaming Taylor on it. So.
She's gotten it way harder this morning, seeing this news about LaMelo and Naj Reid.
Correct.
She's not happy.
Yeah, you had to do the. You weren't sick, but we spread out.
My dog was sitting at my feet the entire time I was doing it. I remember editing packages there, and our Wi-Fi at NDSU wasn't particularly the strongest, so trying to send in this great package about a kindred basketball connection with two players who had the same syndrome that nobody else in the world has, and it won't go.
Yeah.
It won't send through. So yeah, all of that was chaotic. But hey, man, that was those days in 2020 and 2021. You almost become way more.
I thought, honestly, I thought that was our best storytelling we ever did.
100%.
I really did. I thought that stretch from March of 2020 to whenever we really started playing games again, which was for North Dakota, we were up and going that fall, which I remember how odd that was, doing First Down Friday and stuff when nothing else was happening. Yep. I told that story not that long ago of the football game. You'll remember when we went to a code red around here, and I was calling Davies and Shanley, and there was nobody.
And there's nobody there. I remember,
literally nobody was around me. I'm like, this is.
I remember I went
bizarre.
to South and Cheyenne, and they had the band and the music and everything, and nobody else is there. There are people sitting on ladders trying to see
across
over the fence.
The street.
You go there, and then Moorhead had a game that night, and they had people just all over the place. So.
Well, and then I remember too the night everything stopped for football. Like, hey, everything is shutting down how odd that was. Like, we're going to be done again after we started up. But my point on this, and let you finish, that I thought we were out of the box. We were finding different stories we never told before during that whole stretch when there wasn't any games going on.
And to think back, like, that probably prepared me for more of what I'm doing now, where you have to find things that are different. And you're not necessarily doing bits, but you're finding unique things and out of the ordinary things to put yourself in those situations and show people what could be considered a quote-unquote bit.
So you left here in July, I want to say, July or August 2022?
Yep.
So you got a different job. You were still in TV sports. You were going back home to Virginia.
Correct.
Take us from there.
So I left here July of 2022, went to the CBS station in Norfolk, Virginia.
Dream job. You're back home.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. And then my contract's coming up. There's a few people that are as well. I'd been talking about it. They'd been telling me that there's some promise. And then March 3rd of 2025, I get told that I'm getting laid off, which is no fun. That's the first time I'd ever really lost a job. I had a month, so I was like, whatever this next month has, I'm just going to try to live it up as best as possible, do everything I can to the best of my abilities. Because at that point, it had been a really, I don't want to say stressful, but just been a fatiguing 3 years. We only had 2 people in sports, which coming from here, where we had at the least 3, and sometimes at the most 5, is really difficult. My sports director there was awesome. Mark Davis was a tremendous mentor. He tried everything he could to make it as good as possible, but it just becomes, when it's 2 people in sports, you can't take a break. So April 3rd hits. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I applied for a job as like a city media specialist and didn't get it. I wasn't really even trying. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And then this job pops up. And I remember my wife and I having the conversation before that we didn't really want to move again. And I didn't either. But then I saw this broadcast entertainer job for Banana Ball.
What is it? That's how it was listed?
Our titles are broadcast entertainer.
So what's the job description?
So essentially, you are broadcasting, and you are also doing quite literally everything else you can to entertain the fans. So, and firefighter home games, which this weekend won't be. It'll be a clown show. But for firefighters, what we call headliner weeks. I'm on stage for the pre-show, hosting different games. I'm out on the field doing a couple different things for the pre-show. Once you get in the stadium, obviously doing the broadcast, doing everything I can to help with their social media team. I'm sure there are people here who have seen just a lot of weird videos now on my Instagram and wonder what I'm doing. That's why. But yeah, broadcast entertainer is essentially just your job is to, yes, broadcast, but you have to do so much, like this, dress up like a legitimate firefighter who could have ever predicted that would have been me in Fargo?
So let me rewind just a little bit here. So you apply, do you know anybody here? Like,
yes.
how did that come about?
So the Savannah Bananas lead broadcaster, Biko Scala, and I sat across the desk from each other at Syracuse.
Kidding.
I was his IA, TA, whatever you want to call it, for his capstone class. So he and I talked a bunch about the Yankees. He's from New York.
Okay.
We talked a bunch then. I asked him, should I try this? Because at that point, I'm like, I just got laid off from a local news job. There's no shot. And he goes, yeah, why not? Because it's Biko. My wife was the one that told me, like, in 10 years, are you going to regret not doing this? Not getting the job, not trying for it. And I was like, 100%. Mm-hmm. She goes, then you got to do it. So I got up. I went and filmed a bunch of stuff. Hilariously, one of the prompts was to build up a superstar matchup or build a player up. And Carell Prime, who used to be a Red Hawks player, is now with the Clowns, so he'll be back too. But at the time was with the Savannah Bananas. I'm like, I can do something with that because I know him. So I did something there, sent it in, did my application, and about 2 days later, the executive producer at the time was also somebody that I had gone to Syracuse with. He and I were in the same graduate class. He was just in a different school at Newhouse. He texts me and he's like, why did you not tell me you were doing this? Like, we need to get on the phone immediately. Because at the time, I didn't realize the firefighters' first ever headlining games were in a month.
Oh.
So they were looking for somebody, and I'm looking for a job. I'm zany and silly and wacky, but I also feel like I can have that the brunt force and the protocol-like vibe that a firefighter has to have on the air. So he and I talked. I did my first initial interview with our HR people. I did my tryout in Angel Stadium in
I remember
Anaheim.
because you posted a photo. I think you tweeted out a photo of at the Angel Stadium. Like, what is he doing? Like, we hadn't talked. Like, what are you doing out there?
I was trying to keep that one a surprise because my wife still had a job at CNU, so I was trying to make sure like nobody from her work saw that. So I did my tryout there. I did a couple different weird interviews, but the one I think that got me the job was we had a guy diving onto a tarp for a catch the night before. And so I dove onto the tarp the next night and just started slamming the living daylights out of it. And then if that didn't get it, we had our first guy hit a home run after he did a Mulan entrance. And I said, and I quote, he made a man out of that pitch. And that got me the job, I'm fairly certain.
So they call you and say, hey, we'd like to offer this to you?
I had a fairly good feeling after that game in Anaheim in May that I had gotten it. But we officially got the paper sign and everything like maybe a week and a half before the headline games in Richmond.
Wild.
It was awesome.
So then it's okay. What's then? What's the job? Are you literally figuring it out as you go?
There are parts of it. We have an awesome broadcast team. So that weekend we were playing one of the teams in the league called the Texas Tailgaters, and their broadcast entertainer Brett Loftus was so helpful in getting me up to speed on the rules and more importantly the speed of the game.
Yeah.
Like if you've been used to watching baseball, this is not that speed. It is almost like you are watching a hockey game in terms of the speed of the game, where something is always happening, combined into baseball. And so I had to get a lot more used to the speed of it. The rules will come as they go. But, I mean, they tossed me in right away. I was doing solo play-by-play for probably 3 weeks, and then we started doing a couple different pairings up in the booth. And then all of last year, most of it was sideline because we were with the Bananas a ton.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, we've changed it a little bit, so now most of the announcers, broadcast entertainers are up in the booth.
All right, we got a break. I want to talk about a little bit more on that and then actually what in the world is happening this weekend at Newman Outdoor Field. Zach Staton is joining us for the Firefighters broadcast, part of Banana Ball. Much more on Hot Mic. We'll do it right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. The palatial satellite dishes that you missed, I'm sure, Zach Staton over the last 4+ years. He's joining us as Banana Ball has invaded Newman Outdoor Field. It's tomorrow night, and on Saturday night, it's already sold out, which no surprise on that. So when we dropped the conversation before we went to break, we're talking about actually how you got the job and how it changed. Because I remember you posting stuff. You were on the field all of last year.
Yes.
Now this year is different. You're up in the booth now.
Yeah, I'm actually doing a lot
what
more.
You've done here. You did play-by-play here.
Correct. So we'll do play-by-play. I'll be, for visiting games, I'll be more color commentator. Next week in Iowa City, I'm on the field, which will be cool. It's a new team to get to know.
You're going to Kinnick Stadium?
Correct.
That is pretty darn. I'll just tell you right now, that's pretty darn cool. Awesome.
Man, seeing Memorial Stadium in Nebraska filled up, and
right.
it was a firefighter game. I remember being on the field before doing our pregame show. I just looked up and I was just like, this. I don't belong here, but I'm glad I'm here. Like our pre-show, Fire Drill Live, I remember looking out and there was like 10,000, 20,000 people in the parking lot. I was like, what is going on? So Iowa City, I'm very excited for.
So this weekend, tell us for people that are going, what can they expect of what's going to happen at Newman the next couple nights?
So the best way I can describe it is it's baseball the exact way you hoped it would be. Like you're going to have players dancing. You're going to have the game is going to go. There's 11 rules of Banana Ball, and the things that you don't like are out. There's no mound visits that are going to delay the game. There's no bunting because bunting sucks. If someone does bunt, they're immediately ejected.
I didn't know that.
Yep, you're ejected. We had a player last year whose whole deal was he was a slap hitter, and one time he laid the slap hit down, but it looked like a bunt, and so our umpire threw him out. They eventually realized it was a slap hit and put him back in the game, but they will legitimately eject you. But there's going to be these fancy entrances and all this choreographed stuff that's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to hopefully see some surprises out there, like that. It's baseball combined with Broadway and Disney all jammed into one, and with 6 teams now, like we didn't have it wasn't a quote unquote fight, but we had a scuffle last week on national television between these two teams. So there are a lot of people that think, oh, this is I just made the Disney thing. It's, it's all Mickey Mouse. No, they're not really competitive. No, these guys, they want to win. There's fire in these people's eyes.
When the schedule came out, Zach, last fall, and Fargo was on it, what was your reaction?
So we previewed the schedule probably a month in advance just so we could all kind of get our minds around it. And I saw Fargo. I didn't even see the teams. I just saw Fargo. I'm like, 1,000% we're playing there. I just feel it. Yeah. And sure enough, I looked down and saw it was firefighters and clowns. I was like, that's so cool. Number one, obviously, personally coming back is so awesome. And being able to make the reconnections again. But then you take a peek at the history of the Indianapolis Clowns and the Negro Leagues. And, of course, the Bismarck Club out in Bismarck. Satchel Paige has played in North Dakota. There's so much history just with Negro Leagues baseball teams. And then the connection to Roger Maris. All that kind of good stuff. It's all fun.
So for people that don't have tickets, if they watch, they're going to hear you this weekend on the broadcast, correct?
So all of our games are streamed for free on our YouTube page. That's part of why we're fans first. We don't try to price gouge or anything like that. We're going to stream those. Now, obviously, they'll be on ESPN sometimes, too. They'll be on the CW. They'll be on True TV. But every game is streamed on YouTube as well. We're one of the maybe the only organization in sports that still does that, which I know there are some people that love it and some people that don't. Those people who don't are probably higher up in corporate suits in these different places. But that's Jesse Cole has made that as apparent as possible. We are going to make this fans first for everybody. Like, if you don't have tickets and you still want to go, we have an app called the Fans First Ticket app. Download that. There's a marketplace on there. So let's say a family of 3 or 4 can't go. They can list those back on that marketplace for face value. You cannot go more than face value. And now all of a sudden you have the opportunity to not get into whatever these secondary ticket markets are because they're going to try to bend you over a barrel for it. With that, we're going to make sure that you pay the market price for what was paid originally because we're fans first.
Cool.
So you'll hear me on the YouTube page. You'll hopefully hear me much louder than that. I'm going to try to. Who knows? I might be in a barrel again, as I was last year in Baltimore and Chicago. But yeah, we'll have a lot of fun.
So I'm just thinking of like the nights that I would send you up to Newman to shoot Red Hawk highlights, and thinking of standing up there in the concourse, and now 4.5 years later, you're going to be doing something like this. I mean, what goes through your mind?
It's bizarre because, like, I remember some of those Red Hawks. You think of it now, like already, like I can name you a few of them. Joe Filomeno played for the Red Hawks. He's now with the Loco Beach Coconuts. Brett Helton, I'm sure a lot of people know that. He was one of the aces for the Red Hawks. He's now one of the more recognizable party animals. He just threw a complete game against the Coconuts a couple days ago. Carell Prime. Lamar Sparks was just here last year. He's with the Firefighters now, and he's the best power hitter we've ever had. So just that is one thing. But then, like, you think of some of these stories, like Brendan Metzger. He would be an incredible banana player, man. If you go back and watch him put a trash can back behind where the umpire was.
That was 2 nights in a row we had that. Because I think the next night, didn't the manager get tossed for taking the base?
Maybe.
I'm almost positive. I think the next night, whoever the Hawks were playing after Metzger did that, which went viral.
Yep.
The next night, whoever they're playing, he picked up third base and left the stadium with it.
Yep,
I'm almost positive that happened.
That sounds like the manager of the Texas Tailgaters, honestly. But between that and then the first day of the 2020 season, which was weird enough, their spring training started with a trip down to the Dome to go get COVID tested. I had video of Carell Prime getting a COVID test shoved into the back of his throat. So, just going back to that, I remember telling him that the first time I met him again when I did my tryout in Anaheim. And he was like, oh, yeah, that was weird. You know what I mean?
Because the Hawks were the only
it was them and 5 different teams.
Because there was no other baseball that was happening.
Correct.
The major leagues hadn't even started yet when they were starting here.
Correct. Minor league was completely done.
Forgot that.
Legion baseball, kind of, but they were doing like a summer series kind of deal.
That's right.
Literally, I remember the day that the press release came out that the Red Hawks were going to play. It was like manna from heaven had fallen, and we were all like, we're going to get sports back.
Couple minutes left here. For people that don't know, you are a massive, massive wrestling fan. The fact that you have combined your passion for that into what you do now, is this the most perfect job you could have?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a quick story about this too. So Richmond last year, first weekend, obviously I'm nervous, don't know entirely what's going on. I don't know if this is real. we have a rehearsal day because it's the firefighters' first headliner, so they want to get everything right. One part of the rehearsal is they are like, hey, Zach, we want you to go down and do like a 2-minute bit on the field for the pre-show. I'm like, this is the first I've heard of this. So I get down there. Jesse Cole is there. This is the guy who has birthed this. He has founded this. He has grown this. He goes, do you know what you're going to say? I go, no. And he just stares at me like this for like 5 minutes. And I go, but I know what I will say when I get out there. He's like, I don't even need you to script it right now. We can figure that out later. Just go out there and give me 2 minutes. So I was like, all right. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what's going on, but I know I can bring energy, and I know that this can be like a wrestling promo. Just get really loud, really boisterous, really out there. So I went out there, and for 2 minutes, I mean, I gave everything. I gave my best Hangman Adam Page emotional promo I could have possibly given, and I got back off the field. I remember our show caller, Joel Zimmerman, looked at me like, wow, I didn't see that coming. The guy who hired me, Vaughn, was looking at me like a proud father. He's like, I knew he had it in him. And Jesse goes, that was super impressive, and went and shook my hand. I was like, I've made it!
Yeah, the guy who runs the whole thing. That's
correct. So I'm like, wrestling did finally pay off. And to all those elementary schoolers who get told you talk too much, don't believe them, because I did too. And now look where I am.
My last thing, is this something you want to, like, long term? Is this how long you... Can this be something longer than you even envision? Like, I guess
I'll go to the wheels fall off on this one.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
is this something you want to keep doing?
I'm so passionate about the brand number one, the firefighters, because this is one of those brands that it's super serious. We honor a firefighter of the night every game we play, whether we're home or away. We have so many cool stories of people who have sacrificed and put themselves in jeopardy, who now get to come here and get celebrated. And so that part is cool. You know, this is a team last year that won 6 games and made it to the championship game. Was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So, number one, the connection to the brand is just there. But until you see this sport, you don't truly understand it. Then once you do and you see the competitive fire, like, I think it's the greatest show in the world. I think it's the greatest show I think it's the greatest sport in the world, man.
I would tell you, I'm super happy for it, because losing a job sucks, especially in this business where it's deflating. I know, especially you had a chance to get back home, and that was exciting for you.
Yes.
So to see you not only land on your feet, but thriving and doing this, it's really awesome, and I'm really happy for you, bud.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I'm glad you get a chance to get back here and see Newman again. I'd like to say it's drastically different. It isn't.
I heard they changed the lights. That's cool.
They did do that. There's not much else, though, that's different in the 4 years.
I feel like this is Avengers Endgame, and I got blipped back, so like everything has changed. And like, did something become of Grant Nelson? Like,
yeah, he became a thing.
And Matt Entz is still doing his thing here.
No,
funny enough, I actually saw him in an airport a couple of weekends ago in Dallas.
Really?
He was walking onto his plane, so I didn't go interrupt him. But I was like, "That's Matt Entz going to Fresno."
Great to see you. Congratulations. Have a great time this weekend, okay?
Oh, we're
Zach Staton joining us here in studio. Bananas Ball broadcaster. It's the Firefighters and the Clowns coming up this weekend at Newman Outdoor Field. Let's break. We need a deep breath after that. That final half hour of the show coming up. Much more on Hot Mic right after this.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY.
WDAY.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line. Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on. That was off the dome.
To the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Oh,
I'm getting good at this.
he's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions? Okay, good deal. Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
Well, you got a lot to live up to after our previous guest there, Mr. Goetzinger. Welcome into the studio. Good to see you. Thanks again for filling in for me last week.
I'm glad to see the place is still intact, so that's a win.
I want to say you started shortly before Zach left. Is that accurate?
There was a short, intermingling period there.
Because you've been here 4 years, and he's been gone for almost 4 years.
Right. 2022 is the year I started, so we were there for a month or two, a cup of coffee, essentially. But no, it's a big change going from a guy with a bunch of energy in the morning to a guy who takes a couple hours to warm up and get ready for the day. So I'll do my best.
How about that, though? I mean, when I found out, and I know we chatted a little bit last year when he got got the job, because we still stay in touch with, I'd like to say we stay in touch with most everybody that comes through here and moves on to other places. And when I heard about it, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like that? And then I saw what he was doing. I'm like, boy, that is perfect for knowing him, knowing his excitability. He's like, there are certain jobs that are built for people. He's in his right now.
Well, it sounds like it too, just hearing how passionate he is talking about it. It's a really unique deal to have the opportunity to do that. Great on him. It's
absolutely.
It's combining all the things he's ever wanted to do, play-by-play with entertainment, like you mentioned, WWE. There's a feel to that too. And I would say I'm on the side of when that league first started. I'm a purist. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want to pay any attention to that. Right. And then as you watch it a little bit more, because it's on TV everywhere,
all the time.
It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. Then you start to build that spot. Okay, this makes sense. I get that. To go out and see that, it could be a lot of fun. And I think a lot of people in Fargo who may be in my boat or were in my boat of, I don't know if I like this, go and watch it. I'm sure you'll have a different opinion.
I think there are going to be 4,000 people at Newman the next couple nights. It's going to be jam-packed there. I'll be interested to see what they do.
Right, and it's very fan interactive. So, I mean, everybody there is going to be a part of the game.
All right. Did you see the Nas Reed news this morning? Did you wake up to that?
I woke up, fell right back asleep afterwards. But as I was dreaming and digesting it, I think it's interesting. I feel bad for everybody who got a Nas Reed tattoo back in the day.
Oh, man. I didn't even think of that.
There's plenty of those sitting around, all the towels that are I was thinking, in recent Minnesota sports memory, it's kind of hard to find a guy who had that much of a cultural impact, on the Minnesota sports scene, isn't it?
Oh, man. I mean,
he wasn't a star. He wasn't a Byron Buxton by any means, but he made an impact on the fans.
Yeah, that swell 2 years ago when the Wolves made their first run and the towels and everything. It was unbelievable. When he won Sixth Man of the Year, it was
absolutely
we would talk about almost every night here on the show of like what he did last night and how crazy the crowd went for him. But I would say the last year he was just inconsistent. Not say he was bad, but I like when Nas and Rudy played together. It was really good. The Wolves were really, really good down low. But apparently, I'm reading the John Krasinski story that they've been trying to unite LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards for a while together. And now that is going to happen here in reality.
LaMelo's a great player. I didn't think he was the missing piece to the puzzle that's going to bring this team to the championship. Obviously, it's been talked about on this show and through Wolves circles for a long time. They needed a point guard. Mike Conley's not going to be able to play this game forever.
Right.
And now they have that guy. To me, it feels like after hearing the news of Anthony Edwards over the last couple of weeks and Cat winning the championship and Ant saying he's not happy because seeing everybody else go off and do great things, it seems like they had to make a move with a big name to keep him, wanting to stay here essentially. And it seems like they've done that.
It's just crazy.
And I don't know what a floor is going to look like with those two on it. They're really going backcourt heavy, that's for sure. So what is it? Gobert and Behringer now?
Behringer, yeah.
Behringer, are those the two
I
big
would
guys?
say maybe Rocco Zikarsky, the other big man who they drafted out of Australia last year.
Who is that?
He was in the G League for a good portion of this season. But, I mean, you're going to roll now. I mean, you paid Io, so obviously he's going to be there. Terrence Shannon Jr.'s got to play. I thought what he did in the playoffs was really good. Obviously, Jaden's there. Beranger's going to play. They just drafted a kid last night they like. Out of Duke in the second round. I don't think Conley's done, but man, that's
right.
Man, he swings for the. I'll give him that. It's funny when I should have brought this up with Zach because when the Gobert deal went down, it was right before he left. He freaked out like, "Wow, that's a terrible trade for the Timberwolves. They're giving up so much." And the Gobert deal has worked. He's not the only one that looks poorly on that one. The Gobert trade has worked out. The Cat one. As it looks right now, they traded Cat for Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah, and
that's
the Knicks have won that substantially
right now.
Yep.
And
now
they're
giving up a lot of picks for this trade, aren't they?
To me, I'm not too worried. I mean, it's so far down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's hard to get too worked up about 2033's first-round pick.
You can't evaluate this until we get to that point, and then you look back 10 years later and see where we're at and everything. That's going to be tough. But when you look at it right away, it did seem like
it is. It's a haul.
It
is.
There's
no doubt. I'm not disputing that. Just it's hard, at least for me, to get all up in arms about a 2033
and I can't say I'm a Josh Green expert, right? He's the other one involved.
Evidently, he was a first-round pick in that same
the
draft.
name is familiar, but what has he done since then? I have no idea.
The NHL draft is tomorrow in Buffalo. Starts tomorrow and on Saturday. The Wild spectators in this because they don't have a first-round pick. I don't believe they have a second-round pick either because of the Quinn Hughes trade.
Right.
Are they doing anything this weekend, or are they just sitting by?
I don't think so. I mean, all the draft stuff that I've been watching, talking with Brad and just getting ready for the first 10 picks because that's going to be pretty.
It'll be very
big.
local here.
Obviously, Gavin McKenna, the star out of Penn State in Canada.
Is that a lock? Is he number one?
I asked Brad that, and he told me no.
So the Maple Leafs have the number one pick tomorrow, correct?
Which I think anybody who gets McKenna that's going to be a phenomenal pickup.
And the draft is in Buffalo. And Buffalo is like 2 hours from Toronto. That'll be crazy if that ends up being. That'll be a wild scene tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I think Toronto has the opportunity. To me, it feels like a lock. I don't know who's better than that. And when you look at the last, let's say, 3 number 1 picks, those are some Macklin Celebrity.
He's all right.
Connor
Bedard's in there, isn't he?
Connor Bedard. And then there's
okay.
one who went to the Islanders who had a good year that I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's showing signs right now. And I think Gavin McKenna's right there with that tier of player that can make an impact. So Toronto should be celebrating if they get that pick. But I think Keaton Verhoff is a guy who could go, UND guy who could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Carson Carls.
He's going to go too.
He could be right there too. So that's what I've seen. I haven't
watched the NHL draft.
No, not 1 second of it in my entire life. I haven't even watched the MLB draft. I'm surprised you're spitting out this much on it.
The NHL draft has more, like for you, has more connection. Like if a St. Cloud State guy gets drafted or something like that.
Guy
like
who played
for
Minnesota
us.
high school hockey. I can remember that name.
The MLB draft, you got to be hardcore if you're diving into that.
Now they're not even doing high school guys anymore in the MLB
Well,
draft,
they're going to try to do that. Okay. I'm not sure if that's going to come to fruition.
I didn't read into that
too
much. That came in late on a Friday, and I was just hoping to get us to the finish line.
So, we have the complete opposite here because we have Zach all ramped up for his voice. Do you have your golf course reporter voice ready to go for the next couple days? Because it's a different octave.
I went back and watched yesterday, and I was like, man, watched back the last. I was like, I got to work on that.
It was fantastic.
You can just hear me do that the whole time, so I'm going to try not to do that, and I'm going to.
I didn't mean that because honestly, I didn't hear that. But when you came on last year, and I'm talking about this because we're doing the Red River Rams starting tomorrow, that you had the perfect voice to be out there reporting like that. That is because I couldn't do it.
I should stay with that.
No, what I'm saying is, were you out like, hey, let's go over to Sam at 50? We can't go to Dom Izzo at 50. Hey, thanks, Sam.
Parker Eden's out here got a birdie putt.
He's got a birdie putt for 16. Oh, he got it. Well, I couldn't do that.
It's funny you say that because my camera guy with me last year was Kyle Strecker, who worked on this show.
Everyone knows Kyle. Absolutely. You don't need to introduce him. Everyone knows Strecker.
He told me, he was like, it was the final day. He said, hey, Parker Edens is giving you a look over here. You might want to lower the voice a little bit. I was like, oh man. Parker's in the mix to win the thing. Yeah. And he was like, you might want to. I was like, I don't know how much quieter I can get. I mean, we're standing on the fringe of the green. Like I'm describing the break and the putt, and I'm hoping I'm not wrong, and they're taking my word for it. But
you could do like the Peter Costas whisper, like, thanks, Jim. We're over at 16.
Yeah, right. It's just I'll try my best. If you say it's good last year, I'll stick with it.
I thought you did a great job.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
We're looking for. You're seeing video from last year. That's Catherine Van Aragon, who's back, who's the reigning champion on the women's side. She was the first women's player ever to finish the tournament under par. I would have to think she's the prohibitive favorite, Sam, to probably go back to back.
I think there's a couple of names in there that can make a push, but with the way that she navigated the course last year,
you had one on. Rose Solberg is here. You interviewed Rose last week, the Fargo Davies now alum who's heading off to the University of Minnesota. I think she's in one of the feature groups you're going to see tomorrow. Avery Bartels, Kindred native, who's entering her junior year at North Dakota State. She was a Summit League All-League player. That's another one to potentially keep an eye on the women's side.
I think by all accounts of everybody I've talked to, it sounds like Solberg may be the next big name to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, there's been a lot of great female golfers to come out of this region that have gone on to do great things. I think she could be the next one, and it's tournaments like this that really help her get ready for the U of M.
Now, on the men's side, you mentioned Parker Edens, who is the South Dakota State men's golf coach, was runner-up last year. He's back. We will not have the defending champ. Rylan Petrie is not participating in this event, but that doesn't mean the quality of golfers is down. We got some really good players over here this weekend.
They have found, just looking at the field and doing prep on the field, they have found guys from all corners of the country that have dominated the amateur ranks, the junior amateur ranks, not just in our neck of the woods, but all over the place. They got a guy from Harvard coming in, Isaac Ahn, who's one of the best amateur golfers.
Think about that statement. We got a guy from Harvard coming to play here.
Harvard coming in. He's one of the best amateurs from Minnesota that the state has ever seen. He's going to come in. The U of M is bringing a lot of guys that I think could make some noise. Obviously, North Dakota State has a lot of players as well without Petrie, so they won't have him. But, well, everybody else they're bringing has an opportunity to make a run at this thing. And I think it's going to be a pretty stacked field, and we'll see it come right when we hit the air noon o'clock tomorrow. It's going to be pretty fun.
I'm not thrilled here with our forecast here from our storm tracker
I looked at it. I looked at it this morning.
Not looking great. Now Saturday has a chance for scattered thunderstorms.
Even tomorrow's got a little bit, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
Talking with our guy Bobby Rain, Robert Pointer, yesterday that's what we called him in college, Bobby Sunshine and Bobby Rain. And
I'm using that from now on. that is his draft name. That is totally his draft name.
It just came back to me. I don't think I've used that since college. But he told me it's going to be a lot like what we've seen the last couple of days, where it rains for 15 minutes and then goes away. So
we don't need any lightning. That's going to stop everything. I'm totally thrown off now. That should be his on-air name.
Bobby Sunshine, Bobby Rain. That's
Robbie Rain. That would be a fantastic meteorologist name.
It would be fantastic. Yeah.
Jeff Nelson, get on that. Change his name now.
Jeff's not a big nickname guy, so I had to make sure I stopped calling him Bob and started calling him Robert. But no, that's what he told me. So hopefully it all. But it seems like this tournament always runs at least it's not going to be hot as, the blazes.
Last year we had that. We also had tornadoes that came through after the first night of the event. So last year we had the second round got delayed, and the final round actually got delayed, both by overnight storms. Looks like it's going to happen during the middle of the day. So we'll be on the air starting tomorrow at noon, and then Saturday at noon, then Sunday we hit noon, and then we are on to the final putt is hit. Hopefully sometime around 6 o'clock on Sunday. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We'll hope. Is the case. So you got your sunscreen ready then for the weekend?
I guess I'll go find some. I never do.
Don't mess around with that.
I got to go
you're
get
be
some.
Out there.
We'll see. We'll see if I find some.
You want to take us to break with your golf reporter voice?
And we'll be back on Hot Mic with more. Final 15 minutes of the show coming up on WDAY Extra.
Roll the break there. That's perfect, Brody. We're back to wrap things up after this. All right, putting a bow on things here on this Thursday morning show. Reminder, tomorrow we are live at Moray Country Club. Excited about the opening day of the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship. Join us from 9 to 11 of a bunch of golf-centric guests on the show coming up tomorrow to get us ready for one of our bigger broadcast events that we do all year long. We put on a lot of stuff, whether it be baseball, softball, football, basketball, you name it. This one is a different animal. I know our engineers have been out setting up for the last couple days, and we'll continue to do that and then to battle the elements. And this is, I believe now, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. This is our 6th year of doing it. So it's become bigger and better every year we've done it. Looking forward to see what we unveil starting tomorrow, and we'll be out there to get you ready for it starting bright and early at 9. Just reading a few more reactions and tweets on the trade that went down with LaMelo and Nas. Chris Hine, who we've had on the show, Wolves beat writer from the Star Tribune, tweets out a couple of things after talking to some folks. The Wolves rave about LaMelo Ball as a teammate and say he will have a positive impact on the organization. They said there is an intense competitor there that can emerge. He was the engine to one of the best offenses in the league. He adds, I think the best way to sum it up is this. The Wolves, through their scouting and intel gathering on Ball for years, formed a much different opinion than the public perception of him. They're betting they're correct. In other words, a zig where others may zag. That's about as easy as you can put it there. And it's going to take some processing here because Naz Reid is about as popular a player, as Sam mentioned in our last segment, as they've had in a long, long time. One other news here, busy, newsy day. Jory Collins is now in the market for a new women's basketball assistant coach. Dylan Geisert has resigned after 7 years. He came with Jory Collins when he was hired in 2019. He was elevated recruiting coordinator in 2021. He's been associate head coach over the last couple years. Dylan's a great guy. Got to know him well. We've had him on our show. if you won't look at that Bison basketball roster that just won 29 games and had an unreal winning streak, that was built on Dylan Geisert's recruiting. Jory was the closer on that and identifying some players, but Dylan did a heck of a job on getting some of this elite talent that has come to Fargo over the last handful of years, and the talent that is coming next year and the year after that. Big reason is him. Congrats to Dylan on that. Let's do some What to Watch as we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Again, reminder, the United States plays tonight against Turkey. That's at 9 o'clock on Fox in the final group game. The Travelers Championship gets underway in Connecticut. PGA Tour, our guy Tom Hoagie's playing in that, 2 o'clock on the Golf Channel. As we mentioned yesterday, Kate Smith-Stroh playing at the LPGA Championship. That coverage is on right now on the Golf Channel for the DL Kid. We'll keep you updated on that all weekend long. We got to roll. Thanks to our guest today, to Matt Larsen, to Zach Staton, and to Sam Goetzinger. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Enjoy a beautiful Thursday, everybody. Thanks so much for making us part of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.